Hi you guys, welcome to my channel, and for any of you who subscribe, welcome back to my channel. So my name is Jamie Swan, I'm a journeyman cosmetologist, and we are going to be doing a short boy's haircut for you guys today. So first of all, most important thing, bribes. Treats or video games work best for little kids. I highly recommend this if you want them to sit still for the full duration of the haircut. Okay, so first of all, we're just taking and lightly spritzing the top of his hair. His hair is fully dry, but what you want to do is just kind of like lightly mist it so you're able to section the top part of their hair out of the way. This kind of takes the place of using clips or anything like that. You don't want to fully saturate the back and sides because we're going to go in with a clipper, and it's easier to clipper cut on dry hair. If you do prefer, though, clips that look something like this work really great for boys' short haircut to hold their hair out of the way. This is good if they do have hair that's longer than what Asher's is here. So I'm just going to be going in with my clipper now. All the tools that I'm going to be using are things that you should already have at home. If you don't, I'll try to find links for you guys in the description below. You can find these tools at Walmart, or beauty supply stores, and anywhere kind of in between. The more you pay, the better quality the tool is going to be and the easier the haircut's going to be, but use what you can. So I usually go in with either one of these 3 guards. I do recommend using a guard on little kids. It just makes it easier because they are or can be a little bit squirmy. So I usually don't do little boys' haircuts freestyle. So we're going to be going in with the number 2. So this makes the hair about 1/4 of an inch long on the back and the sides. And it doesn't really matter where you start. I'm just going to start at the front here and work my way all around to the other side of his head. Okay, so notice that I'm starting at his hairline and working my way up. And as I get up to that part line that we created, I flick out with my wrist. And this is going to create a gradation in the hair, so it's going to make it a little bit longer when we do that flick. And that's going to make it easier to blend the hair out when you go in with the shears later on. When you guys are doing the back, just feel for the occipital bone. It's a little bone that jets out on the back of their head. That is generally where you want to bring your clipper cut up to, and then flick out with your wrist when you get to that area in the back of their head. You can take your clipper cut higher if you prefer. This is just a general rule of thumb. And then I just continue doing this all the way around the head. And if you guys do notice that there are any clipper guard lines in the hair, just run your clipper in the opposite direction, and that should get rid of them sort of in like a crosshatch motion. And then just continue blending up until that part line, flicking your wrist out as you get to the top. Okay, so once you have the back and sides blended how you like, take the clips out of the top if you used any, and then we're gonna really wet the top of the hair. Doing a wet cut up top is going to help you be able to see your guide. You'll see what I'm talking about, but you'll be able to get a more precise haircut with the hair being wet. So I'm just spritzing it all down, much to his disliking. Okay, so then work all the water through the hair. Okay, and then you wanna get the hair going in a cute little middle part. So he resembles Nick from the Backstreet Boys circa 1999. Super cute look here. Okay, then I'm going in with my Centric shears. These are the Centric C2s and a cutting comb similar to this. I will try and post links down below. The better the shear you can get your hands on, the easier this is going to be. But obviously just work with what you have. Okay, so now I'm going to try to get this so that you guys can see. You're going to want to cut straight up from that clipper, the length of the hair from the clipper cut, if that makes sense. And just go straight up and work your way all the way around the head in about 1/2 to 1 inch sections. The smaller the section, the better, because you're going to get a more precise cut. And especially if you have a child with really fine textured straight hair, you'll notice that if you take too big of sections, the hair, when it dries, it'll look a bit choppy. And so if this happens, just go back in, spritz the hair wet, and take smaller sections so you get a little bit more of a precise cut. Okay, so when we did those front sections, pulling them and lining them up with the sides of the hair and cutting all around the head in the last step, we would have pulled the bang part back a little bit. So this is going to create length. So now we can go in and detail the bangs to where we want them to sit. And so when I do this, I always point cut the hair, because we don't want Dumb and Dumber Lloyd bangs going on here at all. So what a point cut is notice how I'm pointing on an angle. You're almost notching little triangles out of the hair. And the deeper you can point cut, so the more up and down your shears are, the more jagged and different lengths and texture the bangs are going to be. So just work all the way around. You want to blend the bang length in with the sides of the hair and work your way all the way around until it's a length and it looks good where you want it to be. At this point, if it's looking still a bit like Lloyd Dumb and Dumber-ish, that's okay, because we're going to go in and toss some layers in the top here. So just get the length, just focus on getting basically the length where you want. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. So now we're going to go, there's different ways to do this, but we're going to take a center guide. We're going to create a guide from the length of the bangs. So you can see here at the very tip of my finger, that's the length of the bangs. So we're going to cut all of this off, and I always point cut the top of the hair. So we're going to go in and notch those little triangles in the top of the hair, and we're going to do this in sort of a mohawk type section, going all the way back to the back of the head, following your guide and the shape of the head. And this is going to be our guide for the rest of the top section of hair. Okay, now this part's super fun. So now when you hold up the hair, starting at the front again, you can see that corner sticking out from the guide that we made doing the vertical cuts to the guide we made doing the center cut down the center of his head. All you want to do is point cut those corners out so that those two guides line up. I don't know why, but this is my favorite part. I'm just trying to move here so that you guys can see the hair better. And then just continue to do this, going from the left side of the head to the right side of the head, point cutting these corners out until you get all the way to the back. Okay, so then once I got back to the front, I realized I just wanted to take a little bit more off of his bangs. So I point cut doing exactly what I did for the first step of the bangs, just made it a little bit shorter. And then when you do this and you take the length off, you want to go back in and reblend that new length in with the rest of the cut, because if you don't, that's where we get a heavy bang and the whole Lloyd Christmas vibe going on that we're just trying to avoid here. The less trauma we can cause our children and their youth, the better, right? Okay, so now I'm just continuing with the blending in of the new length of the bangs, and I'm going all the way throughout, checking side to side. So this is how you can double check your haircut. Since we cut our haircut going from the front of the head to the back of the head, if you cross check it going from one side to the other, you're gonna get a really nicely blended haircut without having that sort of like choppy look going on. Okay, so you guys could just be done here, but I'm just gonna show you guys a little extra step if you're comfortable. This is a scissor over comb technique that I'm using to just better blend in the sides with the top. If you guys happen to have a thinning shear, alternatively, you could use that here, and that's just a little bit more forgiving for newbies. And if you're a little bit more advanced on cutting your kids' hair, you could go back in with a clipper over comb technique. And I find that this works best, especially if you have the wide sort of flat top comb that I'm using here. And I just continued doing this all the way around his head. Okay, and then you're gonna want to take and clean up the back of the hairline. So I use a smaller trimmer is what this is called. You can get brands called a Peanut. I'll try and link some of the brands down below that you guys could get for this step. This is just a finer trimmer that you can get really detailed with. Alternatively, if you're in a pinch, you could buy a pack of those ladies' razor wands for the face, and you could use that to clean up the hairline. If you did use that, the razor method versus the trimmer method, you just wouldn't have such a harsh line across the back. It would be a little bit more blended, that's just fine too. It's just a different style. And here I'm just doing the same thing with the sides. I'm using my comb as a guide to trim a nice angle into both sides of the back of his hairline. And just like with the bottom of the hairline, you could use the razor wand here as well. I wouldn't recommend using, like, don't use a leg razor because that you're not going to be able to see exactly where the cut is going to make, and you will take a chunk out of your child's hair. Only the razor wands, not a leg razor, just so we're clear. And then I'm taking the comb and I'm getting all those little hairs from around his ears. I'm just sort of pulling them up, and I'm taking my trimmer and cutting those off because nobody wants those little flyaways. And just doing that with the other side as well. Okay, and then I just take that little line in their ear right about here, and that is where I end off the sideburns. This is a nice way to get them nice and straight on both sides. Alternatively, you could use the razor wand as well here. And then you always want to make sure that you get rid of all the hairs. If they're itchy after a haircut, they're never going to want to get their haircut again. So optimally, you could put them in the bath or the shower right after their haircut. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to toss a little bit of mousse in just to show you guys how cute this cut looks when it's all styled up. So usually I'll put like a wax or some sort of a paste in boys' hair because it doesn't dry and get crunchy. It stays pliable. So if you need to, you can always fix it up throughout the day, like when they're getting crazy and playing and wrecking their hair. It's very pliable to restyle. And here is the finished look. Oh, look at that cute little face. So then here's just a little 360 of the whole look finished. If you guys would like to see how I cut 6 inches off my hair at home, I will leave it over on the side for you guys to click. If you guys wanted to subscribe to my channel, click my face over on the side here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.